Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second episode of Power Hour, a series on Power BI, brought to you every Wednesday, 2:30 to 3:30 Eastern Standard Time by Intelligent Applications. Intelligent Applications is a data and software company that is trying to bring awareness and boost skills on Power BI throughout the world. Our last video, the first episode of Power Hour, covered an introduction to Power BI, a complete start to get data to dashboards in under an hour. So feel free to check that out. We'll have the link in the description below. Today's video is data transformations. Right, I am your host Fazil, and with me is my co-host Ryan, who will be taking the lead on today's session. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Feel free to comment and ask questions in the chat. We'll try to respond as soon as possible at the end of the session or in a future video. Feel free to suggest future topics that you want to see covered on the series. You can also provide feedback on how we can improve these sessions going forward. Okay. With that in mind, I will hand it over to Ryan for today's session. Ryan?
Hi, good afternoon all. Today we will be covering data transformations. And data transformations has many items in it, but we will just cover 4 areas specifically: removing rows and columns, removing blank rows, merge query, and append query. Now, data transformations generally is used when the data that you import in Power BI needs to be manipulated a little bit or a lot before you begin doing your visualizations. Alright, so I will take you to Power BI, a blank Power BI file. Continuing from where Fuzzle would have demonstrated in our last video, I will import some data. I'm going to Excel data source. Here's an Excel file that I downloaded off the internet. Alright, now the file in this window shows that we have 3 sheets. We can select an individual sheet to preview it, and based on this preview, this is one of the sheets I want, so I will check the box. I will look at the next sheet. Based on this preview, this is a sheet that I want. Now looking at the last sheet, not really interested in this sheet, so I will not check this box. I will click load. Now in the previous screen, I could have also clicked transform. Transform would have taken me to the Power Query editor, where I will be able to do the data transformations. But instead I just opted to load the data. Once the data has been loaded, I will click transform data to go to the query editor. Now, looking at the data, we can see that the data headers for some of the columns are missing. Apart from the column headers missing, we see that there is a blank row. So that's where data transformations would come in. We will see that the data isn't exactly how we want it to be in for when we do our visualization. The first transformation that we will be doing would be remove blank rows. What this would do is, if there's a row that's blank, it will remove it. And we could see that the second row was removed. Alright, now we could still see it is not exactly the manner in which we wanted it. So we will remove a few more rows. We'll remove top, then 1. Alright, now we could see that we have our data and it's looking better right now, but we could still see that the column headers do not match the data. So from the last video, Fuzzle would have showed you use first row as headers. So we will do that again. Now, with first row as headers, the data is now more in a manner in which we can deal with. Let us check the other sheet we imported. We could see that here we need to do the similar thing, which is make first row as headers. Now, after we do this, what we want is we have 2 sheets, but what we want to do now is we want to merge the 2 sheets into one. We want to take these 2 rows, these 2 columns from the second sheet and bring it into the first sheet. Now, to do that, you would need to do something called merge queries. From the Power Query Editor window, you can find the merge queries under Home and to the far right. Now you have 2 options with respect to merging queries. We have merge queries and we have merge queries as new. What merge queries would do is bring the rows that we want from the columns that we want from the other sheet into this sheet. Merge queries as new would bring the columns from the other sheet into this sheet but save it as a new sheet, so therefore the original sheets can be preserved. We will do merge queries as new. Metadata countries. And when you're merging queries, what you need to do is you need to find a common column between the 2 sheets to link them. In this case, we use country code. we can leave the default options and then go OK. Alright, we have our new query. Let's rename it to all data. Let's scroll all the way to the right, and we will see that the data we merged is in this format called table. But what we want is the two columns from that table. We will click this double arrow and it will give us all the column options that we have. I'll uncheck the select all because all I want is region and income group. I'll click OK. Alright, so now we see we have our two new columns added in. I will select them, click and hold, and drag them to the start. Alright, now I will rename these two columns. You select the column you want to rename, right click, and select rename. I will repeat the same for the other column. Alright, so now that I did all that, I will hit close and apply. And I will wait for the changes to apply. Alright, now let's try to do some visualizations. I will select a clustered column chart, expand all data. Alright, but the data set we're dealing with is population data. But when we expand the table and we look at it, we realize that all the years are represented as columns. So what that would mean is in this value field we will need to drag each one of these value fields into here. Now that is not exactly the best way to get things done. So we will go back into home and once again go transform data. So we're dealing with all data. Now, looking at the data, we could see that we don't exactly need indicator name or indicator code. So we could select the column, then click remove columns. Let's repeat the same for indicator name. Alright, so now what we need to do is we need to find a way to transform the data in a way such that the population data is not in columns, it is part of each row. And in order to do that, we will do something called unpivot. So the columns that we do not want to be affected would be the first 4 columns: country name, country code, region, and income group. We will use Control and select to select all 4. Now in the top menu bar, the top, you want to go transform, then go unpivot. You want to hit the down arrow and select the option unpivot other columns. So what that did, it took all the columns and made it as part of each individual row. Let's rename attribute to year and value to population. While we're here, let's just double check our region and income group. Clicking the down arrow would give you a list of all the items, unique items within that column. We will uncheck null and hit OK. Repeat the same for income group. Okay, it's not necessary. Now we will click close and apply. Alright, hit close. Alright, let's go modeling. There seems to be Power BI automatically created some relationships which proved to be troublesome in this case. Let's delete all these. Go back to transform. All data. Alright, then hit close and apply. Alright. So something must have happened along the lines. Alright, Fuzzle.
Hey.
Hey. I seem to be getting some difficulty.
What seems to be the issue?
Alright, the data does in my Power Query editor does not seem to represent the data on the canvas. Alright, so what happened there was when Power BI created a relationship, it threw off the changes I made in the query editor. Usually when Power BI makes relationships, it comes in handy, but this was a one-off instance where it did not come in handy. And the changes that I made when I tried to close and apply it, it wasn't applied. So when I deleted the relationships, I needed to hit refresh.
Correct.
Alright, so now I'll proceed to build my charts. Alright, so now we can see based on the data, I can see population by region and income group. Now, if we look at the numbers, we can see that these numbers seem a bit high. So then we remember that Power BI would have aggregated the data for us. So what we'll need to do now is apply a slicer. And we can add year to the slicer and select one. Alright, now let's continue to build a few more visuals. You can put population and country name.
Hey Ryan, if you're not using the filter tab, you could probably close it in so they could get a better view of
Alright, my bad.
The canvas. Yeah.
Alright, now let's add a pie chart. We can add population into values, then income group into legend. Now based on the data that we had at the start, let's look back at it. We can see we took the data that we had here and transformed it into these visualizations that we see here due to transformations. Yeah, anything you want to add, Fuzzle?
No, I think this was a great demonstration.
Alright. Yeah, so Alright, so that was just an introduction into data visualization. So the power of transformations before doing data visualizations. Now, as you can see, the data that we started off with, it wasn't exactly in the right manner in which we needed to use for Power BI. And thanks to the transformations, we were able to build a simple dashboard using data that we pulled off the internet. Now, that was just a small sample of the power of transformations. Anything you want to add on transformations, Fossil?
No, so we've covered a few topics under data transformations, which are the more common or useful ones, such as the merge query, the append, the removing of null or blank rows and columns, using the first row of as the headers, etc. We will be covering more advanced or niche data transformations or data cleaning techniques on Power BI in future videos. If there's something in particular you guys want to know how to do or see in terms of data transformation or any topic on Power BI, feel free to comment or message us on the YouTube page. The topic for next week will be on introduction to DAX. So simple DAX. DAX is natural language formulae that we use on Power BI, so you can do your measures, calculated values, that sort of thing. We'll be introducing that. As I said, it will be an introduction, so nothing too complicated. You don't need to know any programming language or anything, and we will guide you through that. So any questions or feedback, feel free to comment on the video, type in the chat. If you have any suggestions on future topics, let us know. Any feedback on how we can improve these sessions as well, let us know. We want to thank you guys for participating, and feel free to like this video, share it with your colleagues, your friends, your family. Subscribe to the channel. We do videos every Wednesday, 2:30 to 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'd love to have you join us for this series. All right, thank you again. I am Fazil and Ryan, your host, and we will see you on next week's episode. Thank you.